You may think doctors have it all, education, status, money, but now they have something else too, the highest suicide rate of any profession. For months, the I-Team has been exposing a state health program that's supposed to help struggling doctors.
What the I-Team found out about that program has some local doctors questioning if it's harming more than helping. Here's investigative reporter PJ Randhawa.
Mike and Ann, this is a doctor health program that exists in almost every state. After we first began exposing problems with it in February, we heard from doctors in almost every part of the country. Tonight, one of those doctors is revealing how he spiraled into poverty after getting help from this program. For 30 years, Bob was a small town doctor.
All I ever did in my life was play hockey, practice medicine.
Yet while he was busy healing others, Bob admits he struggled to heal himself.
My father, I knew, had a depression. I think I inherited some of that.
For decades, his fight was a private one, managed pill by pill with anxiety meds.
And I found that helped me more than anything.
Then Bob's supervisors offered him a lifeline, confidential treatment for his problems.
Then they wanted me to speak to a gentleman in charge of the physician's health program.
That program is known as the PHP. The idea behind it is to help doctors with addiction or mental health issues get well and return to practice. Here's the catch. Once you ask the PHP for help, you are no longer in control. The PHP decides where you go for treatment, no matter the cost. If you fail to follow any of their recommendations, well, the state medical board could revoke your license.
I thought, well, sure, why not? What do I have to hide?
First, Bob was told to report to a PHP preferred treatment center in Kansas, then another hundreds of miles away in Georgia. So why didn't you go home at this point?
I thought I had to do it.
Those 5 months of treatment cost Bob around $50,000, all the money he had in the world. He says the program did nothing to treat his depression.
Hey, Bob, how you feeling? I just said, terrible. I feel terrible. I don't feel well. Okay, well, thanks for sharing.
Bob did everything the PHP demanded. Released with a clean bill of health, he still wasn't allowed to practice medicine. In fact, the PHP required Bob to sign up for 5 years of monitoring.
He just said, well, here's the agreement, you got to sign it.
At $1,200 a month, Bob quickly learned he couldn't afford it.
If I was working, it would have been chump change. But I slowly descended into a state of poverty.
The very program that pledges to return physicians to, quote, healthy professional functioning didn't want to help Bob if he couldn't pay. He was in violation of his PHP contract, so Missouri's Board of Medicine revoked his license.
My life was ruined.
A former attorney with the Kansas Medical Board agreed to speak with us without revealing his identity. He once worked side by side with the PHP. Now he helps doctors who find themselves stuck in the program.
They lose their money, their investments, sometimes even a greater cost of losing their family.
Have you known or heard of any physicians that have taken their life?
Yes.
The I-Team traveled to Jefferson City. We shared Bob's ordeal with State Senator Jim Neely, one of only 2 doctors in the Missouri legislature.
I guess I'd be curious about an audit of this particular area.
How do you think you may be able to shed light on this issue in your role as a lawmaker here?
We need to take a look at this, and so I think I'll take a look at this. I need to talk to Dr. Dorena.
This is a hearing in the matter of Dr.
Neely's friend, Dr. Jim Dorena, sits on the board of the PHP and the State Medical Board. That's where we caught up with him. First, he agreed to speak with us. Hi, Dr. Dorena. But then he stopped answering our calls. And to our surprise, State Senator Neely had suddenly changed his mind about looking into the PHP. They're just the latest state leaders to avoid questions about the program. Why are so many doctors afraid of the PHP? A few months ago, after repeated requests for an interview, we tracked down the executive director of the PHP, Bob Bondurant.
This is embarrassing.
He too refused to answer any questions. These days, Bob survives on Social Security.
All my savings were used up paying for all these things, and I lost my farm, home.
Forced to live in squalor.
There really isn't any running water. I have to use a chemical toilet outside.
A career dedicated to caring for others, gone for good.
I think if it weren't for my My faith as a Christian, I think I would have committed suicide.
Bob says eventually he did find great treatment for his depression, but he had to do it on his own after the PHP dropped him. Since our first investigation into this program, several states have taken action to install more oversight over their PHPs. Massachusetts is planning an audit of its own program, and Louisiana and Colorado have also been discussing changes in the legislature. Back to you.
Have something you want the I-Team to look into? Email PJ directly at prandhawa@ksdk.com or call 314-444-5231.